And welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. As I said, stay tuned. At the bottom of the hour, joining us from Sporting Kansas City, their head coach, Peter Vermees. And thanks again to the technical director of FC Dallas, Fernando Clavillo, for taking time to join us. But right now, joining us is Captain Canada. Everyone knows him all over this country, and a guy that has left it all out there for country and club, Julian de Guzman. Julian, welcome, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. It's always been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. An emotional day for you. You've decided to hang him up. Let's talk about it. What went into this decision for you to say, the time's up, it's time for me to get into the coaching craft? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, retirement has crossed my mind for quite some time now. And it is just a matter of me managing, the best time, the best move, and, when to do it to make sure that, not just for my own pleasures, but for the game of soccer in Canada. So, 2012 was the first time it hit me, and it was for family reasons. And I kind of put family for the first time before soccer, and tried that out for a bit, and I was still able to play soccer in Germany, stay close to the family. Also had some time in Greece. But then going to the World Cup in 2014 and watching my brother play, I felt I accomplished a huge part of my dream, and that was to watch him play in the World Cup. But there's still also a part of me that wasn't fulfilled, and that's why I continued to play under Benito and push for one more cycle for 2018. And then, not making the Hex, that's when I realized, I need to, step away from the game and pursue something that brings more value to the game, which has me involved in, the opportunity to jump on board with Ottawa Fury was a great opportunity for me to stay involved and to also to continue to help push the game forward for the future of Canadian soccer.
Let's talk about some of the memories playing as a player in Spain, the first Canadian ever to play for Deportivo La Coruna, and you had an unbelievable career there. Short, but it was a career time there that many would never ever have here in Canada. And also, you mentioned playing in Germany, playing in Greece. There's got to be memories that you will keep with you for the rest of your life. Let's talk about some of them.
Yeah, I mean, getting that chance to play in the Bundesliga, it started from a lot of struggles and patience and just that belief within myself and just playing football in Europe. So, my first 3 years in Europe playing in France wasn't the easiest. Being a Canadian and jumping in a situation where you have to take over someone's spot that's from Europe. Was one of the toughest tasks I experienced in my career. Made it through that, got my chance in Germany in 4th Division, spent a year playing there, made the jump to the first team, which was in the 2nd Division Bundesliga. And before you know it, a year later, I'm 21 years old, making my debut against Borussia Dortmund with against the likes of Jan Koller, Thomas Rosicky, guys who I looked up to playing, soccer in Canada. So, it went by really fast when I look at it, and from the time you sign pro till you're 30, you're like in a deep sleep. You don't really realize what you're going through at the time, and by 24, at the age of 24, I'm playing for Deportivo La Coruña, a league where they only have South Americans as their non-European players, and I just happened to be a Canadian. A lot of people who weren't really pleased about in La Coruña in my first couple of months there, but it took time to earn their respect and earn my stripes, and that's one thing I learned in any situation. Like a Canadian like myself or any other Canadian steps into, whether it's a European team or MLS team, it takes time for them to earn their stripes, and I knew that was a struggle that I had to always come up against. So I was always up for the challenge, and I definitely wasn't concerned about what doubters believed in, or people who were against me. But I was always somebody who believed in myself, and I was also somebody that wanted to do the country proud. So to have played in the top leagues in the world, it's always been a dream come true, and I definitely hope many other Canadians get the chance to follow those footsteps.
Julian, each and every time the call was made for you to represent your country, you never said no. You always said yes. It didn't matter when. It didn't matter how many times they called you. You always answered yes, and you did it with a smile. You left blood, sweat, and tears out there for your country. And I know for a fact there's a little bit of aching pain. There's a little bit of hole in your heart that you didn't get that final, to the stage of the Hex and getting to the World Cup and representing Canada. And it would have been unbelievable for you to do so. But let's talk about playing for Canada, because it meant a lot to you. It meant the world to you, unlike a lot of players who really, turn their back on Canada and say, why? Why? You didn't.
I still remember, I don't know how I remember, but I still remember at the age of 5 watching Canada in the '86 World Cup, and that was that's when I started playing soccer. That's what motivated me. My parents putting me into soccer, and then just learning more about the game with the little technology that we had during our time. But I fell in love with it and wanted to do well for my country at some point, and became a dream. It became a dream, and as I got older, my brother now, who's 6 years younger than me, we both were in love with the game, and we had our dreams and our goals. And my dream was to play for Canada. Even though I was turned down for the under-17s for the national team, I was also turned down with provincial teams due to my height, my size, and my speed. I didn't allow that to slow me down. It was a motivational tool that I used to help myself do well, only because growing up in Scarborough and Toronto, seeing a lot of Torontonians who have made it overseas, I felt I could do the same as well, and I wanted to stay overseas. So that was my way of kind of proving that I would get my call up to the national team, and playing in Marseille earned my call up in '99 for the under-18s under Paul James, and that was my first sniff of being a part of the national team program. And then from there, getting my first call to the men's team, that was the start. I didn't look at it as if I made it, but that was just the beginning. And I fought and struggled and made it to that Gold Cup in 2001, and making my debut. For me, that's what I wanted to do. And 88 games later, here I am. It's been a crazy ride, and the one thing that I definitely would have loved to have was represent Canada in a World Cup. And but this is my reason to stay involved, because I feel like the fight's not over, and I still want to be a part of the national team program, and doing so, being a part of Ottawa Fury will keep me involved and help me push for the future to move forward.
Couple more things before we let you go, Julian. One I want to tackle right now, and I think it's very important that you talk about this. You mentioned your parents, and I think that is so key that you talk about them a little bit, because I think you and I both know now as parents how important our kids are to us. And I would get up early in the mornings to take my sons to tournaments, practices late at night. It didn't matter. As long as they were smiling, enjoying the game, I would go from here to the end of the earth for them. And your parents did the same for you. How important, how influential were they in your life? And who are some of the other coaches that you can never, ever forget that believed in you, even when you were down? And you mentioned some of the people that didn't select you for provincial and national programs. They talked. You talk about them.
Yeah, my dad has been like a huge inspiration growing up as a child, and he's done the same for my brother as well. He was the one who would bring us to games and practices and coach us, and early mornings. I remember 6:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. We had to wake up and drive all the way to Lamport and train in the snow on the weekend for the provincial team. He was the one doing that for us, and I thank him so much. And I mean, it's so true. As a parent, behind your kid and believing in him or her, and just going through all those sacrifices and struggles just for them to live their dream. That's exactly what my dad did, and my mom as well, who's been a major tool, a major impact in us. It comes down, to the parents and how they go about the development of Canadian youth soccer today. So I totally agree with that, and it's also today with the way football has evolved, and from what I see and learn from the parents' perspective, it's important as well as getting the right coaching. That's a huge role now when you see young professionals sign contracts, how to manage the involvement and the development of that young professional as a parent. It's very tricky. So that's something that it's bigger than just a coach or an agent or anyone who signs your players. The parent, I believe, has a huge word and a huge say in any young professional's career. So for what my parents have done, I truly thank them for that. And even the coaches I've had growing up. One coach, I must say, Patrick Haddad, when I was playing for North Scarborough, he's been a big inspiration for myself, and he's played a huge role in my youth career or my youth times in Scarborough before going to Europe. So there's always been someone important like that that I always tip my hat to, and I'll never forget.
Julian, we got 1 minute left, and we'll let you go. We really appreciate your time, but the platform is yours. I want you to talk to young Canadian players, Canadian coaches, Canadians in general. I want you to talk to them and to explain to them how important it is for all of us to get on board, to be united for this country, to get to a World Cup, to be united to develop players like the U.S. and other parts of the world have done, to be united, to have our own league coast to coast one day very soon. The platform is yours. Talk to the Canadian people.
Yeah, I mean, for me, from what I have to say from the bottom of my heart, first and foremost is passion, and I think we have to leave our egos aside, and we have to come together. This is the only way that we can get the job done. It doesn't matter what province you're from, what race you are, or what language you speak. The talent it does exist, and we have to come together as one and continue to believe in the future, because we definitely have the tools, and slowly but surely we will eventually have our own league, from what I strongly believe, and I think from there we will take big steps going forward and finally having one of the powerhouses of CONCACAF, and future of soccer will continue to look bright for ourselves as a country and as one.
Julian, when the announcement was made today, I had to pull over on the side of the road. I knew it was coming sooner or later, but it was official. I got a little bit emotional because I know you personally, and I know how much you have done for this country. And I want to talk to the young boys out there all across this country. You want a hero? This is a guy you need to look up to when he played and now as a coach. This is a Canadian legend, a Canadian hero who never wanted nothing in return. All he wanted was to give for his country and to get to the World Cup. And he gave it all, and he did it each and every time. God bless you, Julian. Thank you for what you did for Canada. Thank you for giving back in the community and to the young kids. You, my friend, will never be forgotten here in this country, in the game we love so much. Good luck with the Ottawa Fury, and good luck. Hopefully one day we'll see you on the bench for Team Canada as well, my friend.
Thank you so much, Antonio. I appreciate the support, man. You've been amazing, and continue to speak to you in the future, man. God bless.
That is Julian de Guzman. I get emotional talking about this guy because he's a legend. He's an unbelievable player for Canada. He is a gem of a human being and a guy that really cares about this country so much. And as I said, he's a hero. Young boys, this is a guy you can look up to and say, I want to be like Julian de Guzman. I want to represent my country. I want to do everything I can, just like Julian did, and I want to get to the World Cup, and I want to represent Canada. And Julian, each and every time, represented his country as best he could. Quick commercial break. Coming back, we're talking with Sporting Kansas City head coach Peter Vermes right here on Red Card. Stay tuned.